We're all going on a winter holiday after we steal paintings to make a quick buck for the family. That includes the kids and me and you. And we lay low through the times where the cops will come around and see if I had anything to do with the thievery that has unraveled all the way through. And James has a couple problems, such as his wife leaving him too. Now he must travel to try to put his life back together, or he will have a problem or two. He's not the mastermind through and through, but the mastermind of you, of me and you. The Mastermind comes to us from Movie Studios, which has really ramped up its output since The Substance was a raging, throbbing success. The Substance, by the way, is out on HBO Max as of right now, and Demi Moore should have won an Oscar. All due respect to Mikey Madison of Honora. That being said, nobody involved in that film, or Honora, is involved in this, but you do have Josh O'Connor, who is in Emma, the most recent remake of Emma. By most recent, I mean it came out just before the pandemic, the before times. And La Chimera, that also dealt with art and artifacts and was a bit obscure but fun. I do remember enjoying it quite a bit, even though it was a bit oddly paced and definitely very indie. He was also in Challengers. He was the one eating the banana. Who doesn't love watching Josh O'Connor eating a goddamn banana? Did you love Challengers? Let me know in the comments. I'm talking about things other than The Mastermind because this was the Regal Mystery movie. It was written, edited, and directed by Kelly Reichardt, who did First Cow and Showing Up. Two films I actually need to go back and watch. I didn't get around to them. I believe they were both done by A24, but this is done by Mubi. And Kelly basically tells the story of James, played by Josh O'Connor, who's an unemployed carpenter in 1970s Midwest, seemingly somewhere in the Midwest. And he basically is trying a get-rich-quick scheme where he gets a couple friends together. You have Hi Guy, Eli Gelb, and Larry. You always want to trust a guy named Larry, played by Cole Doman. And they are going to get a plan together at a local art museum to steal 4 paintings that apparently are valuable. I guess. We don't really find out how valuable these things really are. Bill Camp is also in this. Alana Haim, who played Mae West in One Battle After Another, which is still in theaters, and you need to check that out because, oh boy, it is so fabulous. It is 2 hours and 41 minutes, and it flies by. Remember that. Remember how I'm going to talk about a running time that flies by, even when it seems like it should, beat you down. But anyway, Alana plays Terry, the wife, and this basically is a dry, dark comedy that actually starts off just fine. We have the first third of the film with the setup and everything. We actually start out with James and his family, his 2 kids, who are very hyperactive in the sense that they just like to talk and they like to, do stuff. But, they aren't trying to be rude or anything. They're just being kids. And James is scoping the place out. And then Terry... Terry basically is trying to be there for her husband, and also, James's mother, Sarah, played by the very pretty Hope Davis, who is 61 and still looks great, so good genetics right there. And along with the dad, they just basically want to make sure that James continues to do well. And also, since it's set in 1970, we have the stuff about the Vietnam War, protests, and stuff like that. And that's a bit of a backdrop. And then this movie basically gives itself a backdrop. Once we have the setup with Larry and Guy. Hi, Guy. We also have another guy named Gordon. Rezi Feliz, who is fine in his brief role, I will say. Gabby Hoffman also shows up later, along with John Magaro. A good cast, I will say that much. And the music actually is very nice. At first. Emphasis on at first. The 70s aesthetic is very nice. Actually, for the first third, this film is well done. We have the heist going off. It doesn't have, it doesn't go off without its hitches, as you would expect. And then the film kind of gets stuck a little bit. And then gets stuck in the mud. And then it's spinning its fucking wheels. And never gets out of the goddamn mud. Like the horse, the never-ending story. The horse, the never-ending story. That scene was a lot less depressing. And a lot more happened than in the Mastermind. And yeah, I understand exactly what Kelly was going for here, or at least I have a pretty good idea. James having this, can't fail scheme and doing, what she can to basically deconstruct this guy that thinks that he's really, really smart and that he has all the answers and he really doesn't. I get what they were going for, but here's the thing. Kelly also editing this thing. This is 110 minutes long with end credits. This thing had no business being more than 85 minutes. This thing should have been the pace of Honey Don't. Honey Don't, by the way, also had Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza in some very nice scenes. I may need to rewatch that for research purposes. This film, unfortunately, any funny moment that hits, there are 3 that don't. There is one scene where I get what they were going for in a hayloft, and it just feels like it goes on forever. The idea is, okay, this plan's unraveling, and this is like a last-ditch effort by James. Like, oh, James is like, this can't miss. The thing is, though, then the film just gets stuck. Never moves anywhere, despite trying to go to a number of locations. You don't really have any sympathy for James. Don't have any sympathy for Terry. I don't really have any sympathy for the goddamn kids. The film seems disconnected from reality. And that's unfortunate because there's talent behind the camera and talent in front of the camera. It's just never fully coming together. And again, that runtime, that 110-minute runtime, that is punishing. There's one person, like, in this, like, or the one person in the audience, rather, that as the credits started rolling, I said, what the fuck? And you know what? That got the biggest reaction out of anything. There were some laughs to be had, especially in the beginning. But that film just could not keep up that pace, and it just beat me down. There isn't even a lot to spoil, but I'm going to get into it. It's going to be in theaters this weekend if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. So, yeah, his idea is basically to borrow money from his mother to pay off these guys. Larry ends up ditching the whole thing after stealing a car to basically get them to this point, but realizes this probably isn't going to go well. Larry was the smartest of this whole group. And James and Guy end up basically, doing this whole, thing together along with Gordon. And Gordon has this idea to have this gun, basically, to threaten people just in case. He doesn't end up shooting anybody. I don't think this movie could have afforded that. And Josh O'Connor, by the way, if you want to talk about somebody that is a tremendous fucking actor, I mean, I just named those 3 movies right there, but he's great in Challengers. La Chimera, he was great in that. But this doesn't really allow him to be anything except kind of mopey and kind of disconnected from reality. And Hope Davis lends him some money, but like it's this idea of like this architect job and everything because they want to believe their son's turning their life or his life around. And then after that thing basically ends up going a little bit tits up and Gordon ends up getting arrested. Gordon, by the way, kind of gives up Guy and gives up James, but James kind of BS's his way out of it because his dad's also a judge. We do not revisit that at all after this. He gets the cops to leave him alone, and this is after he had taken forever to put he had to unpack the paintings, put them up there, and then take the box up there with the, with on the ladder and everything, and put it there, and then put the paintings back in there and do that. Now, I get it. He probably didn't want to leave it in the garage. He didn't want to do that. Did you not think through to have this in a better safe space? That scene is supposed to be like, okay, he's being so smart, but he's really not being smart because he's going to be outsmarted by people that are just slightly less dumb than him. I did not like that scene. And it was funny at first, and then it just went on forever. It was like a Mr. Bean sketch if Mr. Bean didn't have the physical charisma or the physical comedy abilities that Mr. Bean had. Rowan Atkinson. Look up Rowan Atkinson's daughter. You may be surprised by that. But then, after getting away from the cops and stuff like that, things really start to unravel. And we're about, halfway through at this point. Terry and the kids go to stay with the grandmother. The older kid's a little bit jaded, shall we say. And then he goes to, he takes one of the kids with him. Like, because he's going to go meet that friend Guy, and then Guy gives him up to some thug guys that take him to get the paintings. They get the paintings, and so his get-rich-quick scheme is all done, and then he leaves Guy in the goddamn dust, takes the kid to the grandparents, and then basically goes on the run, essentially. He gets a bus ticket. Some of these things are a little bit jumbled, because I'm sorry, but the movie caused me to check out. There is this freaking hi-hat drum thing that at first really fit, and then it just weared on you and weared on you. Had this movie kept even half of the pace that it had in the first third, I would have been giving this a positive grade. Unfortunately, I cannot give this a positive grade. He ends up at the house of Fred, that's John Magaro's character, and Gabby Hoffman, who plays Maud, I believe. And Gabby has been in some good stuff as well. There's, again, good people here, but then he ends, and by the way, we get the stuff of occasional Vietnam War protests and stuff like that, but nothing that really happens, and he starts to lose money because he's, run out of money after paying people off and stuff like that, and this get-rich-quick scheme not working. He has a room for rent. That doesn't end up working out all that well. I half expected that we were going to get somebody trying to have sandwich making, shrieking Carnival of Soul noises, but he ends up also getting, he ends up finally just, talking to Fred. This is just before getting that room for rent because Maud doesn't want him to be there. Fred basically says, I got a friend, or my brother has a farm up in Canada or whatever for draft dodgers, other people and everything and this kind of stuff. There's some weed smoking at the house as well. But he decides, he being James, goes to Cleveland to visit some friends. That doesn't work. He's almost out of money, so he ends up trying to steal money from a lady that he sees a big pile of money in her purse. And while some other protest stuff is going on, like some to get a haircut hippie, he gets a ride to this area, to Cleveland, from somebody that picks up a couple hitchhiking hippie types musicians, I guess. See, nothing really happens. This plot just meanders, so that's kind of why I'm bouncing around a little bit, because stuff just occurs, but yet nothing occurs at the same time. And James basically ends up trying to steal money from the lady. He manages to steal money from the lady and gets in line with the protest thing, the Vietnam War protest. One guy says, hey, here's some, you drop this, it's your purse, keep this, it's a wallet, keep this in your breast pocket. And then a cop hits that guy over the head. And basically James ends up getting arrested. This is after, by the way, he tried to reconcile with his wife, talking about trying to get money. She doesn't wire him anything, won't talk to the mother, who pretty much gave him a whole lot of money already for this get-rich-quick scheme that didn't work. And he tries to steal the money from the old lady, which he does, but then he gets locked in the whole goddamn paddy wagon thing. He's going to be taken away, and that is literally where our film ends. So James had a character arc that went precisely nowhere. This film went precisely nowhere. I'm sorry. If there is a deeper fucking meaning with this movie, if there is something that I missed, please let me know in the comments. If you like this, I would like to know. I tried to like it. I really tried to like this movie. For the first third, I was enjoying it. I would have even been willing to take that ladder climbing scene if the film picked back up, but it never did. And it just beat me down. So he gets an F. I'm sorry. Despite the positives of Kelly's filmmaking ability and the technical aesthetics and the look of it, and Josh O'Connor and good casting, I couldn't get into this. So F, unfortunately. Agree, disagree what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin. Until we steal 4 paintings for no absolute reason again, happy trails to you.